The alarm system screamed as Marcus Chen fought with the controls of his small cargo ship. Warning lights flashed red across every panel. The vessel shook violently as another blast from the pirate ship struck the rear engines. Marcus gritted his teeth and pushed the throttle forward even though he knew it was useless. His ship was dying. The planet Keth 7 filled his view screen. It was mostly desert with red sand and very few settlements. Not his first choice for an emergency landing, but he had no other options. The pirates had damaged his jump drive and his communication systems. He was alone out here. Marcus angled the ship toward what looked like a flat area between massive sand dunes. The hull groaned, and metal twisted as he hit the atmosphere too fast. Heat built up around the ship. He could smell smoke from burning circuits. His hands moved across the controls, trying to keep the nose up just a little longer. The impact came hard and sudden. Marcus felt his body slam against the safety harness. His head cracked against the side panel. Everything spun. Metal screeched as the ship plowed through sand and rock. It tumbled once, and then twice, before finally sliding to a stop. For a long moment, Marcus just sat there, breathing hard. Blood ran down the side of his face from a cut above his eye. His ribs hurt badly, but he was alive. He unbuckled with shaking hands and stumbled to the back of the ship. The cargo bay doors were jammed, but he managed to kick them open. Hot air hit him like a physical wall. Twin suns blazed overhead in a pale orange sky. The temperature had to be over 130 degrees. Marcus climbed out and looked at his ship. The entire rear section was destroyed. Black smoke rose from the engines. His distress beacon was smashed. No one would find him out here. He gathered what supplies he could find. 2 bottles of water, some protein bars, a basic medical kit, a metal pipe that would have to work as a weapon. Not much to survive on a desert planet. Marcus was about to start walking when he saw something in the distance. Smoke rose from behind a large dune, about half a kilometer away. Another crash site. He thought about ignoring it. He had his own problems. But something made him climb that dune to look. What he found made him stop and stare. A sleek, alien ship lay broken in the sand. It was beautiful, even in its destroyed state. Silver metal covered in strange symbols. Marcus recognized the design. Valkyra. One of the most powerful empires in this part of the galaxy. The Valkyra were not friendly to humans. They saw Earth people as primitive creatures barely worth noticing. Most humans who met Valkyra were either ignored or treated like servants. Marcus had no love for them, but he was not the kind of man who could walk away from a crash site without checking for survivors. He approached carefully. The ship's entry hatch was torn open. Inside he found bodies. For Valkyra guards lay dead in their armor. They were impressive even in death. Their bodies showed both insect and reptile features. For arms, chitinous plates covering vital areas. Sharp claws on each finger. Then he saw her in the command chamber. She lay crumpled against the wall. Even wounded, she was clearly someone important. Her armor was more ornate than the guards. Silver and gold patterns covered the black chitin. Bioluminescent markings ran along her arms and neck, but they flickered weakly. One of her forearms was bent at a wrong angle. Purple blood pooled beneath her. Royal insignia marked her chest plate. Marcus felt his stomach drop. This was not just any Valkyra. This was Queen Valkyra. He had seen her face on news broadcasts. She was young for a queen, maybe mid-20s in human years. She had taken the throne only a few years ago after her mother was killed. Marcus knelt beside her and checked for a pulse. Her skin felt hot and dry. Her breathing was shallow. She was alive, but barely. He looked at the dead guards, then at the queen, then at the desert surrounding them. Every logical part of his brain told him to take what supplies he could from this ship and leave. The Valkyra would never thank a human for helping. They might even blame him for her condition, but Marcus had never been good at listening to the logical parts of his brain. His sister always said he had too much of their father in him. Their father who had died pulling people from a burning building. Their father who could never walk past someone who needed help. Marcus pulled off his jacket and tore it into strips. He carefully bound the Queen's broken arm. He used the medical gel from his kit on the worst of her wounds. She did not wake, but her breathing seemed to strengthen slightly. He went back outside and looked around. In the distance, he could see what might be rock formations. Maybe shelter. Beyond that somewhere was the only settlement on this planet. Marcus pulled up his CUM device. It still had local maps, even though long-range communication was dead. The settlement was 40 kilometers away. Across open desert. Under twin suns. With almost no water, Marcus laughed at the absurdity of it. He was going to die out here. But if he was going to die, he would die doing something decent. He went back to both ships and gathered everything useful. Fabric for shade. Metal poles, rope. He built a makeshift stretcher using debris from both vessels. Getting the Queen onto the stretcher was hard work. She was tall, and her body was heavier than a human of the same size. Her armor added extra weight. Marcus felt his injured ribs protest with every movement. But he managed it. He rigged a harness around his chest and shoulders attached to the stretcher. When he pulled the weight, dragged him backward a step. His legs shook. 40 kilometers. In heat that could kill in hours. Pulling a wounded alien queen who would probably never even thank him. Marcus looked up at the twin suns. Then he looked down at the unconscious queen. Her bioluminescent markings pulsed faintly. Still alive. Still fighting, he started walking. One step, then another. The sand burned through his boots. Sweat already soaked his shirt. Behind him, the stretcher cut furrows through the red sand. Marcus began talking to keep himself focused. "So I bet this is not how you expected your day to go," he said to the unconscious queen. "Join the club. I was supposed to deliver spare parts to a mining colony. Easy job, good pay. Instead, I am playing pack mule for alien royalty in Hell's vacation spot." The queen did not respond, but Marcus kept talking. It helped him ignore the pain. It helped him forget how impossible this task was. It helped him put one foot in front of the other, under the burning. Sons of K-7. He did not know it yet, but this moment would change everything. For him, for her, for the future of two species. But right now, Marcus Chen was just a cargo pilot trying to do the right thing. And sometimes, that is how the most important journeys begin. With one person refusing to walk away, with one person choosing to help, even when it makes no sense. With one step forward into the scorching sand, Part 2, The Journey and Understanding Marcus. Walked through the night when the temperature dropped to merely unbearable levels. The twin suns had finally set, and 3 small moons lit the desert with pale blue light. His muscles screamed with every step. The harness cut into his shoulders. But he kept moving. He talked to the queen continuously, even though she remained unconscious. He told her about Earth, about his sister Rachel and her 2 kids, about how he took dangerous cargo runs to help pay for his nephew's medical treatments. He told her stupid jokes. He sang old songs his father had taught him. Anything to keep his mind working. "You know what is funny?" Marcus said as he dragged the stretcher over another dune. "I used to watch news reports about your people. The mighty Velkara Empire. So advanced. So powerful. And here I am dragging your queen through the sand like a broken appliance. Life is weird." When the suns began rising again, Marcus found shelter beneath an outcropping of red rock. He carefully moved the queen into the shade. Her wounds had stopped bleeding, but she looked terrible. Her bioluminescent markings were barely visible. He gave her small amounts of water dripped onto her mandibles. He did not know if he was doing it right, but it seemed to help. Marcus allowed himself to rest for a few hours. He dreamed of cool rain in his sister's garden on Earth. He woke to find one of the queen's eyes open. It was large and multifaceted, like an insect, but with colors that swirled like oil on water. She stared at him. "You are human," she said. Her voice was musical with strange harmonics that made Marcus's chest vibrate. Marcus Chen, cargo pilot, crash survivor, current pack animal. The queen tried to sit up, but gasped in pain. Marcus moved quickly to support her. She flinched away from his touch at first, then allowed it. She looked around at the desert, then at the makeshift stretcher, then back at him. You pulled me from my ship. Seemed like the thing to do. Why? Your species has no alliance with mine. We have treated humans with little respect. You gain nothing from saving me, Marcus shrugged. You needed help. I could help. That is enough reason. The Queen studied him with those swirling eyes. You should leave me. Take the supplies and save yourself. I am too injured to travel. I will only slow you down, and we both will die. Probably, Marcus agreed. But I did not drag you this far to quit now. Settlement is maybe 30 kilometers that way. We can make it if we travel smart. I order you to leave me. With respect, Your Majesty, I do not take orders from you. Not your subject. Not your employee. Just a guy who cannot walk away from someone who needs help. The Queen opened her mouth, then closed it. She looked confused and something else. Fascinated, maybe. What is your name again? Marcus Chen. Marcus Chen, she repeated slowly. I am Velshara, Queen of the Velkara Empire, and I find you very strange. I get that a lot. They traveled during the cooler hours. Velshara could walk for short periods, but she was weak and needed frequent rest. Marcus kept the makeshift stretcher in case she collapsed. He gave her most of the remaining water. She protested, but he insisted. You are bigger. You need more. Basic biology, he said. You are injured too. You are also dehydrated. You need water. I am tougher than I look. That was a lie. Marcus felt terrible. His head pounded. His mouth was dry as sand. His vision blurred sometimes. But he had been through bad situations before. He knew how to push his body past its limits. Just a little further. Then, a little further after that, they talked during rest periods. Velshara asked questions about Earth and humans. Marcus asked about the Velkara homeworld and their culture. He learned she had become queen at 19, after her mother was assassinated by political rivals. She had spent 4 years fighting to hold power and earn respect. It is lonely, she admitted during one rest stop. Everyone wants something from me. Every conversation is a negotiation. Every smile hides an agenda. I have advisors and servants and guards, but no friends. That sounds terrible, Marcus said honestly. It is the price of power. What about you? Do you have family? Marcus told her about Rachel, about how their parents died when he was 20 and Rachel was 16, how he had worked 3 jobs to support her through college, how proud he was when she became a teacher. She sounds important to you, Velshara said. She's the most important person in my life. Everything I do is so she and her family can have a good life. It's very noble. Marcus laughed. Not noble, just love. You do things for people you love. Even stupid things like hauling cargo through pirate-infested space. Something changed in Velshara's expression. Her bioluminescent markings pulsed brighter for a moment. We do not have that concept in quite the same way. We have duty and honor and obligation. But this love you describe, where you sacrifice without expecting return, that is foreign to us. Maybe that is why humans are interesting, Marcus said. We do a lot of illogical things because of feelings. On the 3rd day, they were attacked. Marcus saw the creatures' first moving shapes in the heat shimmer. They looked like massive hairless dogs with too many legs and mouths that split sideways. Desert predators. 6 of them circling. Get behind me, Marcus said. He grabbed the metal pipe he had been carrying. You cannot fight them. You are exhausted and injured. Yeah, well, watch me anyway. The creatures attacked together. Marcus swung the pipe and felt it connect with the first creature's head. There was a satisfying crunch. The second creature got past his guard and knocked him down. Pain exploded in his shoulder as teeth sank in. Marcus screamed and shoved his fingers into what he hoped were the thing's eyes. It released him with a shriek. He got to his feet somehow. Blood ran down his arm. 2 more creatures were going for Velshara. Marcus roared and charged at them. He did not think. He just moved. The pipe swung again and again. Something bit his leg. He kicked it away. His injured ribs sent waves of agony through his chest, but he kept fighting. Finally, the creatures retreated. They circled once more, then loped away into the desert. Marcus stood swaying. Blood dripped from multiple wounds. His vision was going dark at the edges. He turned to check on Velshara. "Are you okay?" He managed to ask. "You were asking if I am okay?" "You are covered in blood. But are you okay?" "Yes, you fool. You protected me. You took injuries to protect me." Marcus nodded. "Good. That is good." Then his legs gave out and he collapsed. He woke to find Velshara tending his wounds. She had torn strips from her own clothing and was bandaging the bites. Her 3 good hands moved carefully. Her broken arm hung useless, but she worked efficiently. "Should not have done that," she said quietly. "You risked your life for me." "Yeah, why?" Marcus looked up at her. "Because you matter. Your life has value. Same as mine. Same as anyone's. That is how humans see things. At least how we should see things." Velshara was silent for a long time. Her bioluminescent markings pulsed with colors Marcus had not seen before, blues and purples mixed with gold. Finally, she spoke. "I have commanded armies. I have negotiated with empires. I have made decisions that affected billions. But I have never met anyone quite like you, Marcus Chen. Is that good or bad? I do not know yet. But I think I would like to find out." They reached the outpost on the 5th day. Marcus was barely conscious by then. He saw buildings in the distance. Saw people running toward them. Saw Velshara shouting for help. Then darkness took him and he remembered nothing more. His last thought before passing out was that he hoped the Queen would be okay. That somehow made all of this worth it. Part 3. The debt and the offer. Marcus woke slowly. His body felt heavy and strange. He tried to move, but something held him down. Panic flared until he realized it was just medical restraints keeping him still while machines worked on healing his injuries. Soft beeping sounds filled the air. The room smelled clean and sterile. He opened his eyes fully and immediately wished he had not. Standing around his bed were 6 massive Velkara warriors in full armor. They held weapons that looked both beautiful and deadly. Their multifaceted eyes stared at him without blinking. Marcus swallowed hard. Hello?" he said. The warriors said nothing. Then the door opened and Velshara entered. She looked completely different from the broken, wounded person he had dragged through the desert. Her armor gleamed silver and gold. All 4 arms moved freely. Her bioluminescent markings glowed bright and steady. She looked every bit the powerful queen she was supposed to be. "You are awake," she said. "Good. The doctor said you would recover, but you pushed your body very far. Farther than most beings could survive? Is that your way of saying I am stubborn?" "I believe that is exactly what I am saying, yes." Marcus noticed her mandibles move in a way that might have been a smile. The guard shifted uneasily. Apparently queens were not supposed to joke with humans. Velshara moved closer to his bed. She placed one hand on his arm. The touch was gentle, despite her sharp claws. "Marcus Chen of Earth, I owe you a life. You saved me when you had no obligation to do so. You protected me at risk to yourself. You gave me water when you had almost none. You fought creatures to keep me safe. This debt is recorded in the histories of my people. It can never be erased. You do not owe me anything. I just did what anyone should do. Not everyone would do it. Most would not. Especially not for someone of a different species. Especially not for someone whose people have treated yours poorly." Velshara straightened and her voice became formal. "I offer you compensation. Name your price. Wealth, land, title, technology. Anything within my power is yours." Marcus thought about his ship. About the cargo job he had failed. About the money he needed to send to Rachel. "I guess I could use help getting my ship fixed. And maybe some credits to cover the cargo I lost. My client is probably mad." The guards made sounds of shock. Velshara's markings flashed bright gold. "You saved a queen's life and you asked for ship repairs? I mean, if you were offering more, I would not say no. But that is what I need most." Velshara stared at him. "You are serious?" "Yeah. Why?" "Because most beings would ask for riches beyond measure. They would demand power or status. You ask for practical things like a working ship. Marcus shrugged carefully because his body still hurt. I am a practical guy. The door opened again, and more Velkara entered. These wore robes instead of armor, advisors, Marcus guessed. They looked at him with expressions he could not read, but suspected were not friendly. One of them stepped forward. He was older, with gray marking his chitinous plates. Your Majesty, we have prepared appropriate compensation for the human. Sufficient credits to purchase a new ship and cargo, along with a token of gratitude suitable for the occasion. This settles the life debt according to tradition. No, Velshara said simply. The advisor blinked all his eyes. Your Majesty, I said no, Counselor Thek. A life debt of this magnitude cannot be settled with mere credits. I am invoking the ancient law of the honored companion. Marcus Chen will come with us to the homeworld. He will be granted status as a personal advisor to the throne. He will be under my direct protection. The silence that followed was intense. The advisors looked horrified. The guards looked confused. Marcus looked bewildered. Wait, what? Wait, he said. I do not know anything about being an advisor. I am a cargo pilot. You gave me honest counsel during our journey. You spoke truth without calculation. That is rarer than you know, especially near the throne. I want that voice close to me. Counselor Thek stepped forward again. Your Majesty, this is unprecedented. No human has ever been granted such status. The noble houses will object. The military council will object. This could cause political instability. Velshara turned to face him, and her voice went cold. Do you question my authority, Counselor? No, Your Majesty, but then it is decided. Prepare quarters for Marcus Chen on the Imperial ship. He travels with us to the homeworld. The advisors bowed, but Marcus could feel their anger. This was not over. Not by a long way. The journey to the Velkara homeworld took 6 days on the fastest ship in the Imperial fleet. Marcus spent most of that time confused and uncomfortable. His quarters were larger than his entire apartment on Earth. Servants brought him food he did not recognize. Guards followed him everywhere. Velshara visited him daily. She seemed to enjoy his company in a way that puzzled him. They talked about everything: philosophy, history, music. She was hungry for perspectives, different from those of her own people. Why do humans create art? She asked one day. They sat in an observation room watching stars stream past. To express feelings, I guess. To share experiences. To make something beautiful. We create things for function. For purpose. The idea of creating something just because it feels good is strange to us. Maybe that is what makes life worth living. Doing things that serve no purpose except joy. Belshara's markings pulsed with colors he was learning meant deep thought. I never have time for joy. Every moment is scheduled. Every action has political meaning. Even this conversation will be analyzed by my advisors. That sounds exhausting. It is. Marcus noticed she sat closer to him than she used to. Her gestures were more relaxed. He was starting to understand her moods from the colors of her bioluminescent markings. Gold meant interest. Blue meant concern. Purple meant amusement. Right now they were shifting between gold and something reddish he had not seen before. What does red mean? He asked, pointing at her markings. Velshara looked down at her arms. The red intensified. It means I am feeling something I do not have words for in your language. Before Marcus could ask more questions, alarms blared throughout the ship. Guards rushed into the room. One grabbed Marcus and pushed him behind a protective barrier. Velshara was surrounded immediately. What is happening? Marcus shouted. Someone tried to access the life support controls, a guard responded. Attempted sabotage. They were trying to vent atmosphere from this section. Marcus felt cold. You mean someone just tried to kill us? Kill you specifically? Her Majesty's quarters are in a different section. This attack was targeted at the human. Velshara pushed through her guards. Her markings flashed bright red and gold, and something that looked like white fire. Marcus had never seen that color before. She was furious. Find who did this, she commanded. Her voice resonated with harmonics that made the walls vibrate. Search every system. Question every crew member. I want answers within the hour. The guard captain bowed. It will be done, Your Majesty. Velshara turned to Marcus. Are you hurt? No. Scared but not hurt. Good, you are moving to my quarters. My personal guards will protect you. No one gets close without my permission. Your Majesty, Counselor Vec appeared, looking concerned. Perhaps it would be wiser to send the human back to Earth. His presence clearly causes discord. For his own safety, his safety is guaranteed by me personally. Anyone who threatens him threatens their queen directly. Make sure everyone understands that. Investigation found the saboteur within 3 hours. He was a low-ranking technician, but the interrogation revealed he was paid by someone in the noble houses. That person was never identified. The technician was executed according to Velkara law. That night, Marcus could not sleep. He stood in Velshara's quarters looking out at the stars. She found him there. I am sorry, she said quietly. I brought you into a dangerous world. You did not force me. I came willingly. But you did not know what you were agreeing to. My court is full of ambitious people who see you as a threat. An outsider with the queen's favor. They will try again. Marcus turned to face her. Then I guess we need to make sure they fail. I did not drag you across a desert just to let some politician finish the job. Velshara moved closer. Her markings swirled with that reddish color again. You should hate this. Hate me for putting you in this position. I do not hate you. Actually, I am starting to think I feel the opposite. The words hung in the air between them. Velshara reached out with one hand and gently touched his face. Her claw traced his jawline carefully. This is complicated, she whispered. Yeah, everything about this situation is complicated. I am queen. I have responsibilities, expectations, rules I must follow. But when I am with you, I forget all that. I just feel like Velshara, not the queen. Just me. Marcus covered her hand with his. Maybe that is not such a bad thing. They stood like that for a long moment. Then Velshara stepped back. Her markings shifted to blue. Concern. We arrive at the homeworld tomorrow. Things will become much more difficult. My advisors will try to separate us. The noble houses will scheme. It will be a battle. Then we will fight it. Together. Velshara's markings flashed gold. Together. I like that word when you say it. Marcus smiled. Get some rest, Your Majesty. Something tells me we are going to need our strength. As Velshara left, Marcus looked out at the stars again. Somewhere ahead was the Velkara homeworld. A place where he was not welcome. Where powerful people wanted him gone or dead. Where he had no power or protection except for one person. But that one person was the queen. And she had chosen to stand with him. That had to count for something. He just hoped it would be enough. Part 4. Integration and Conspiracy. The Velkara homeworld was beautiful in a way that made Marcus feel small. The imperial city stretched across a valley between crystal mountains that glowed with inner light. Buildings rose like organic sculptures made from materials that shifted colors in the sunlight. 3 moons hung in a purple sky. Everything was grand and alien and overwhelming. The landing platform was crowded with nobles and officials. They all wore elaborate clothing and armor. Their bioluminescent markings displayed complex patterns that Marcus was learning were like badges of rank and family. When he stepped off the ship beside Velshara, the crowd went silent. He felt hundreds of multifaceted eyes focusing on him. Counselor Thek stepped forward and made a formal announcement. Her Majesty Queen Velshara returned safely thanks to the intervention of the human Marcus Chen. By ancient law, he is granted status as honored companion, an advisor to the throne. The murmuring started immediately. Marcus heard words he did not understand, but the tone was clear: disapproval, anger, shock. 1. Noble stepped forward with bright red markings that Marcus had learned meant aggression. Your Majesty, this is an insult to tradition. Humans are primitive. They have no place in our court. We object to this appointment. Velshara's markings flashed white-hot. Your objection is noted, Lord Kethis, and dismissed. I am queen. My word is law. Anyone who cannot accept this may leave my court. No one left, but Marcus felt the hostility like a physical weight. This was going to be harder than he thought. The Imperial Palace was enormous. Marcus got lost twice on the first day just trying to find his quarters. Servants stared at him. Guards watched his every move. Other advisors avoided him completely. He was an outsider, and everyone made sure he knew it. But Velshara kept him close. She brought him to council meetings, asked his opinion on matters of state, ignored the scandalized looks from her advisors. She listened to what a human had to say. The first real test came during a labor dispute. Workers in the southern continent were threatening to strike over dangerous conditions in the mineral mines. The military council wanted to use force to break the strike. The economic advisors wanted to offer minimum concessions. Everyone talked about control and order and maintaining productivity. "What does Marcus think?" Velshara asked. The room went silent. Lord Kethis spoke with barely controlled anger. "Your Majesty, the human knows nothing of our economy or culture. His opinion is irrelevant." I asked him. I want to hear his answer. Marcus stood slowly. He felt every eye on him. On Earth, we learned that workers who feel valued work harder and better. If conditions are dangerous, fix them. If pay is too low, raise it. Happy workers are productive workers. It costs more in the short term, but saves money and lives in the long term. "Foolish," Lord Kethis snapped. "Workers exist to serve the Empire. We do not negotiate with them. Then you will have strikes. Maybe violence. Definitely lower productivity. Is that what you want?" Velshara's markings pulsed gold. "I agree with Marcus. Send inspectors to the mines. Fix the safety issues. Increase wages by 15%. And tell the workers their queen hears them." Council was shocked, but the order was given. 2 weeks later, productivity in the southern mines increased by 20%. Workers returned to their jobs grateful and loyal. Velshara made sure everyone knew the idea came from Marcus. After that, the whispers grew louder. The human was influencing the queen. The human was changing traditions. The human had to go. Marcus started noticing things. Guards who followed him more closely than necessary. Servants who tasted his food before serving it. Doors that were suddenly locked when he tried to pass through certain corridors. Someone was making life difficult for him, and it was getting worse. He found comfort in his time with Velshara. They met every evening after the court business was done. Sometimes they talked about politics. More often they talked about anything else. Books, music, philosophy. Marcus told her about Earth's oceans. She told him about the crystal forests of her homeworld. "I have never been to the crystal forests," she admitted one evening. They sat in her private garden. Strange flowers glowed in the darkness. "I was taken to the palace as a child to learn statecraft. Then I became queen. I have never had time to see my own world. That is sad. It is duty." "Duty can be a prison if you let it." Velshara looked at him. Her markings shifted to that reddish color that appeared more and more when they were alone. "You make me think about things I buried long ago. Dreams, desires, things a queen should not want." "Why should a queen not want things?" "Because wanting leads to weakness, and weakness leads to death. I learned that when my mother was killed." Marcus reached out carefully and took her hand. She had 4 arms, but only one hand held his. The touch felt natural now. Wanting things does not make you weak. It makes you alive, even if what I want is impossible. "What do you want?" Velshara moved closer. "I want to visit the crystal forests. I want to hear the singing stones. I want to stand in the rain without guards watching. I want to make decisions without thinking about political consequences. She paused. "I want to be with someone who sees me, not the crown, not the power. Just me." "I see you," Marcus said quietly. They sat in silence, holding hands. Both knowing they were crossing a line that should not be crossed. Both unable to stop. The conspiracy was building in the shadows. Lord Kethis met with other nobles in secret chambers. Military commanders who resented taking orders influenced by a human. Economic advisors who saw their power diminishing. Religious leaders who called Marcus an abomination. They were all careful. Nothing could be traced back to them directly, but they planted seeds. Rumors spread through the city. The Queen was under the human spell. The human was a spy for Earth. The human was manipulating her for his own gain. Then they made their move. Evidence appeared. Communications between Marcus and Earth's government, coded messages, plans to steal technology. It was all fake, but it was convincing enough. Marcus was arrested in the middle of the night. Guards burst into his quarters. They were not Velshara's personal guards, but soldiers from the military council. They dragged him from his bed and put restraints on his wrists. "What is this?" Marcus demanded. "What am I being charged with?" "Espionage, treason, conspiracy against the Empire." They threw him into a cell deep beneath the palace. It was dark and cold. No windows. No comfort. Just stone walls and silence. Marcus sat on the floor and tried to think. This was a setup. Someone was moving against him and using false charges to do it. But who would believe a human over Velcara nobles? Who would listen to his denial? Velshara found out within the hour. She stormed into the military council chamber with such fury that her markings blazed white like a star. "Who ordered this arrest?" General Vraka stepped forward. "I did, Your Majesty. The evidence against the human is clear. He has been communicating with Earth, passing information about our technology and military capabilities." "Show me this evidence." They presented the fabricated communications, the coded messages, the supposed proof. Velshara studied it all carefully. Her markings shifted through multiple colors. Gold for concentration, blue for concern, then red for something else. "This is fake," she said quietly. "Your Majesty, this is fake." Her voice resonated with harmonics that shook the room. "Marcus does not even have access to secure communications. These codes are military grade. Only council members have that access. Someone here fabricated this." The council members shifted uncomfortably. Lord Kethis spoke up. "Perhaps the human had help. Perhaps there are other traitors. We should investigate thoroughly before making accusations." "Yes, we should investigate thoroughly. Starting with everyone in this room. Your Majesty, you cannot seriously suspect your own council. I suspect everyone who would move against Marcus, because moving against him is moving against me. But even a queen must follow laws." The charges were formal. A trial was required. And by Velcara law, Velshara could not simply release Marcus without proof of his innocence. The conspiracy had been clever. They had trapped her in her own legal system. Velshara visited Marcus in his cell that night. The guards tried to stop her, but one look from their queen and they stepped aside. She entered the dark space and found Marcus sitting against the wall. "I am sorry," she said. "I am working to clear you, but the law requires a trial. It will take time." "Oh, I know." "It is okay. It is not okay. Someone is using you to hurt me, and I cannot protect you the way I want to." Marcus stood and moved closer to her. Even in chains, even in a dark cell, he smiled. "You will figure it out. You are smart and you are queen. You will find whoever did this. What if I cannot? What if they succeed? The penalty for treason is death." "Then I guess I should have stayed on Earth, but I do not regret coming here. I do not regret meeting you. Even if this is how it ends." Velshara's markings went completely dark. Then they blazed with that reddish color, stronger than Marcus had ever seen. She moved forward and wrapped all four arms around him. The hug was awkward because of his chains, but he felt her trembling. "I will not let them kill you," she whispered fiercely. "I will tear apart this conspiracy. I will find the truth. I swear it. I believe you. When this is over, when you are free, there is something I need to tell you. Something I should have said before? Tell me now, not here, not like this. When you are free and safe, then I will tell you everything." She left, and Marcus was alone in the dark again. But he felt stronger somehow. Velshara was fighting for him. That meant something. That meant everything in the shadows. The conspirators were already planning their next move. The trial would be public. They would present their false evidence. The human would be found guilty. And when he was executed, the queen's power would be broken. She would be seen as weak, easy to manipulate, maybe even easy to replace. Everything was proceeding according to plan. Or so they thought. They did not know how fierce a queen could be when protecting what she cared about. They were about to find out. Part 5. The choice and the future of Elsha did not sleep for 3 days. She worked tirelessly, pulling every resource she had to uncover the conspiracy. Her intelligence network spread throughout the city. Her most loyal advisors investigated quietly. She reviewed communication logs, studied financial records, traced connections between council members. The pieces started coming together. Lord Kethis had been meeting secretly with military commanders. General Vrakas had unusual financial transactions from noble house accounts. The religious leader who spoke against Marcus had ties to families who opposed Velshara's mother. This was bigger than just removing Marcus. This was about removing her, but she needed proof. Solid, undeniable proof. And she needed it before Marcus's trial in 2 days. She found it in the most unexpected place. A young technician approached her during a public appearance. He was terrified, but determined. He showed her files he had copied from General Vrakas's personal system. Communications planning, the fabricated evidence. Messages coordinating with Lord Kethis. Even discussions about what would happen after the queen was discredited. "Why are you showing me this?" Velshara asked. The technician bowed low. "Because my sister works in the southern mines. You fixed the safety problems after the human suggested it. My sister is alive because of that. I cannot let them destroy you or him." Velshara felt something shift inside her. A human had inspired this act of loyalty. Marcus had influenced her decisions, which had saved lives, which had earned genuine devotion. This was real power. Not fear or obligation, but actual loyalty. She gathered her most trusted guards, put the evidence in secure storage with multiple backups. Then she prepared her move. The conspirators wanted a public trial. She would give them one they would never forget. The day of the trial arrived. The grand hall was packed with nobles, military leaders, religious figures, and common citizens. Everyone wanted to witness the human's downfall. Marcus was brought in wearing chains. He looked thin and tired, but his eyes were still sharp. He found Velshara in the crowd and gave her a small smile. Lord Kethis presided as senior council member. "Marcus Cheneverth, you are charged with espionage and treason against the Velkara Empire. How do you plead?" "Not guilty. The evidence against you is substantial. We have communications proving your guilt. You have fabricated communications. I never sent any messages to Earth. I do not even have access to secure channels." General Vrakas stood. "You had help? We believe there are other traitors in the palace who gave you access." "Then name them." "Show me these supposed traitors." General hesitated. That was the weakness in their plan. They could not name accomplices without risking exposure of their own conspiracy. Before anyone could respond, Velshara stood. Her markings blazed with white and gold. "I have evidence to present." Lord Kethis looked annoyed. "Your Majesty, this trial must follow proper procedure. You cannot simply interrupt, 'I am queen. I can do exactly what I want.' Especially when I have proof of an actual conspiracy." The hall went silent. Velshara moved to the center. She activated a holographic display. The files the technician had given her appeared for everyone to see. Messages between Lord Kethis and General Vrakas. Plans to fabricate evidence against Marcus. Discussions about undermining the Queen's authority. These are lies. Lord Kethis shouted. "Fake files meant to distract from the human's crimes." "Really? Then explain why these messages contain details only you and the General would know. Explain the financial transfers from your family accounts to hire technicians. Explain this message where you specifically write that removing the human will make the Queen vulnerable." Velshara played that message for everyone to hear. Lord Kethis' own voice speaking the damning words. The crowd erupted in shock and anger. The General tried to run, but guards blocked the exits. You plotted not just against Marcus, but against me, Velshara said. Her voice was cold and terrible. You fabricated evidence. You corrupted the legal system. You planned to execute an innocent being and use that to weaken your queen. This is the real treason. More nobles tried to flee, but Velshara had planned this carefully. Her loyal guards moved through the hall, arresting conspirators. She had names. She had evidence. She had prepared for everything. The trial turned into a purge. Lord Kethis, General Varakas, 3 other council members, 5 noble house leaders, 2 military commanders, all arrested, all charged with conspiracy against the throne. The evidence was overwhelming. Marcus was released immediately. The chains removed. He stood in the center of the hall while chaos swirled around him. Velshara pushed through the crowd until she reached him. Without thinking about protocol or propriety, she embraced him. All 4 arms wrapped around him. Her markings blazed red and gold. The hall went silent again. A queen embracing a human publicly. This was unprecedented, scandalous. Political suicide according to traditional thinking. Velshara did not care. She held Marcus and felt his heart beating against her. He was alive. He was safe. Nothing else mattered in that moment, but then she stepped back, composed herself, became the queen again. She turned to face the assembled crowd. I have something to say, and everyone will hear it. Marcus Chen saved my life when he had no reason to. He gave me honest counsel when everyone else told me what they thought I wanted to hear. He inspired changes that improved lives. He has shown me what real loyalty and honor look like. And somewhere during all of this, I fell in love with him. The silence was absolute. No one moved. No one breathed. I know this is not traditional. I know many of you will object. Some noble houses will refuse to accept this. Some of you may even rebel. Velshara's markings flashed white. Let them try. I have crushed one conspiracy today. I will crush others if needed. I am queen. I choose Marcus as my partner. Anyone who cannot accept this should leave now. Few nobles did leave. Maybe 20 out of hundreds. But the rest stayed. Some looked shocked. Some looked thoughtful. A few even showed markings that indicated approval. An old noble stepped forward. Lady Shekra, from one of the most ancient families. Your Majesty, I fought beside your mother. I helped her take the throne when traditionalists said a female could not rule. She proved them wrong by being strong and wise. You have proven the same today. Thank you, Lady Shekra. I cannot say I understand your choice, but I trust your judgment. And I saw how this human protected you, how he influenced you toward compassion without weakening your strength. Perhaps love does not make us weak. Perhaps it makes us brave enough to change. Other nobles began speaking up, not all in support, but not all against either. A conversation was starting. That was something Marcus stood through all of this, feeling overwhelmed. Finally, Velshara turned to him. You have a choice. You can stay with me and face whatever comes. Or you can return to Earth with honor and wealth and no one would blame you. I will not force this life on you. Marcus looked at her. At this incredible being who had somehow chosen him. He thought about his simple life as a cargo pilot. About Earth, about Rachel and her family. Then he thought about dragging Velshara through the desert. About their conversations. About how she made him feel like his opinions mattered. About how much he had come to care for her. I am just a cargo pilot, he said. I do not know how to be a queen's consort. I do not know your politics or your customs. I am going to make mistakes and embarrass you probably a lot. Is that a no? No, that is a yes. I am saying yes, but I want you to know what you are getting. I am going to be terrible at formal events. I will probably insult important people by accident. I will never remember all the proper protocols. Velshara's markings blazed with colors he had never seen. Joy maybe, relief, love. I do not need you to be perfect. I need you to be you, honest, brave, stubborn. Everything that makes you Marcus Chen. Then I am staying. We crossed a desert together. We can cross this too. Together, Velshara said. The word felt like a promise. The following weeks were difficult. Some noble houses did try to rebel. Velshara crushed them with overwhelming force, showing she was not weak. The common people actually embraced the story of their queen and the human who saved her. It became a romantic tale told in markets and homes. Support grew among ordinary citizens who liked seeing their queen as someone who could love. Marcus adjusted slowly to his new life. He attended councils and offered opinions. Some advisors learned to value his perspective. Others never would, but they respected the queen's will. He learned proper etiquette mostly. He still made mistakes, but Velshara found them charming. They spent evenings in her private garden talking about everything and nothing. Sometimes she taught him about Velkura culture. Sometimes he taught her about Earth. They found a rhythm together that felt natural, despite how alien it all was. One evening, 3 months after the trial, Velshara brought Marcus to the crystal forests. She had cleared her schedule for a full day, something queens never did. They walked among trees made of living crystal that sang in the wind. The sound was beautiful and strange. I never thought I would see this, Velshara said. I never thought I would have time for myself. Queens need time for themselves. Too, maybe. Or maybe I just needed the right person, too. Remind me that being queen does not mean surrendering everything. That makes me alive. Day. Stood watching light refract through crystal branches. Velshara's hand found Marcus's. He still marveled at how natural this felt. An alien queen and a human cargo pilot. It should not work. Every logical part of his brain said it was impossible. But here they were. Do you regret it? Velshara asked quietly. Staying with me? Giving up your old life? Marcus thought about his ship. About flying alone through space. About the simple days when his biggest worry was pirates or late payments. Then he looked at Velshara. At the person who had become the center of his world. No, I do not regret it. This is where I am supposed to be, even though it is hard. Especially because it is hard. Easy things are not worth much. But this, us. This is worth fighting for, Velshara leaned against him. Two beings from different worlds finding comfort in each other. I love you, Marcus Chin. I probably should not. It complicates everything. But I do. I love you too. Even though you are way out of my league, she laughed. That musical sound that made her markings pulse with golden light. We make our own league. Together. They stayed in the crystal forest until the sun set. Then they returned to the palace, ready to face whatever came next. There would be more challenges. More people who objected. More political battles. But they would face it all the way. They had faced the desert. One step at a time. Together because sometimes the bravest thing anyone can do is choose love over convenience. Choose hope over fear. Choose to believe that two impossible beings can build something real in the space between their worlds. Marcus. Chen had crossed a desert carrying a wounded alien queen. Now he stood beside her as her equal and partner. Ready to carry whatever burdens came next. Ready to build a future no one thought possible. And as twin moons rose over the Velkara, Capital Marcus realized something important. He had spent his whole life doing practical things, taking safe jobs, making logical decisions, playing by the rules. But the best decision he ever made was the impractical one, the illogical one. The decision to help someone who needed him even though it made no sense, because that decision had led him here, to love, to purpose. To a life bigger than he ever imagined. Sometimes being human meant being foolish enough to care, stubborn enough to try, brave enough to love. And sometimes that foolishness changed everything.